بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله وسلامه عليه أما بعد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار ثم أما بعد الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا ما شاء الله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. We continue going over the tremendous book by the Fadil to Shaykh Al-Allama Imam bin Baz Rahmatullah alayhi. The book which is entitled Durus al-Muhimma li'amat al-Ummah. The book entitled Important Lessons for Every Muslim. We have reached the first section, still the first section, which deals with learning those chapters, including Surah Al-Fatiha and those chapters that are from Surah Zalzala until Surah An-Nas. These chapters, the Imam Rahmatullah alayhi, he says we are to learn how they should be properly recited. We should recite them properly, learn their meanings, and memorize them. Naam. So, again, is an encouragement for us, those of us who would like to take these classes seriously, to do such and to be diligent upon each chapter as it comes. And even if that means to take the whole of the week on that one chapter, then let us do that bi'ithnillahi ta'ala. We have reached the chapter Al-Ma'un, Surah Al-Ma'un, which is translated to mean the chapter of the small kindness. The chapter of the small kindness. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says in this tremendous chapter of the Qur'an, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, or prior to the chapter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And we say prior to the chapter because it is not correct to say that the Basmala is from the chapter, right? Because the strongest of the opinions as relates to this particular recitation of Hafs and Asim is that the Basmala, it is a verse in Surah Al-Fatiha. It is a verse in Surah Al-Fatiha. But everywhere else in the Qur'an where it comes between the surah, then it is a verse by itself. A verse by itself that is there to separate between the chapters. It is a verse by itself that is there to separate between the chapters. Allah Ta'ala, He says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. Have you not seen the one who has denied the recompense? فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ. And that is the one who repulses harshly the orphan. وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. And he urges not the feeding of the needy. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. So woe to those who perform the prayers. الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Those who are neglectful of their prayers. Naam, those who are neglectful of their prayers. And we translate it as such, those who are neglectful of their prayers, and not as it comes inside of the noble Qur'an. Naam, as it comes inside of the noble Qur'an, this is correct, the translation. Because remember, the noble Qur'an is a translation of the meanings of the Qur'an. Naam, the meanings of the Qur'an. And that is based upon the tafsir. It's based upon the authentic and relied upon tafsir. Naam, as we'll see. So in this ayah, in the translation, they translated the ayah bringing forth the predominant meaning of the ayah. Bringing forth the predominant meaning of the ayah. Naam. But inshallah ta'ala, when we come to the ayah, then we'll understand a little better. But I wanted to translate it in a translation that is more closer to the wordings, so that we'll better understand the predominant meaning and how it fits in. Naam, and how it fits in. But yeah. And again, perhaps this will make more sense when we come to this ayah. Allah Ta'ala goes on to say, الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. Those who do the deeds only to be seen of men. وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. And they withhold the small kindness. They withhold the small kindness. And again, inside of the translation, inside of the noble Qur'an, they brought parentheses where they give some explanation of the meaning of al-ma'un, where they don't translate the word for word, right? But they bring it in a transliteration, written out in transliteration, al-ma'un. And then in parentheses, they give some examples of what enters into the meaning of the word al-ma'un. But again, for now, we'll just say small kindness, and then when we come to that verse, we'll look back at some examples. Bidnillahi ta'ala. Ala kulli hal, Allah Azza wa Jal, inside of the first ayah, He says, "Ara'ayta, ara'ayta, have you seen?" Meaning, ayyuhan nabi, have you, O Prophet, have you seen? Well, istifham, and the question here, ma'nahu at-ta'ajjub. The meaning here is what? Is astonishment. Now, meaning that, have you not seen? Meaning this is astonishing. This individual who's going to be mentioned, his affair is astonishing. Naam, astonishing. Because the affair in which he is denying is an affair that is well known, and this is the reality. But this individual, due to the sickness and disease and corruption of their heart, they deny the clear reality. So this is astonishing. A person denying a clear reality. It's amazing. How can you deny such a clear reality? What is this reality? الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. The one who he disbelieves in ad-deen. He disbelieves in ad-deen. Na'am. Wa ma ma'na deen? What is the meaning of deen? What is deen? Na'am. As we have in Surah Al-Fatiha, also mention of this particular word, deen. Right? Maliki yawmiddin. And then in another recitation, Maliki yawmiddin, the owner, the king of the day of deen. What is the day of deen? As we know from the Usul al-Tafsir, that the Qur'an, you have certain ayat of the Qur'an that explain other ayat of the Qur'an, and you have the ahadith that explain the ayat of the Qur'an, and then you have the tafsir from the Salaf, from the Sahaba, where they had learned from the Prophet ﷺ the meanings of these ayat of the Qur'an, and they transmit them unto us. And then you have last the Arabic language, and understanding the ayat based upon the clear Arabic language. Naam. Ala kulli hal, this here is a good example of a place where we have tafsir of the Qur'an by the Qur'an. So we understand what is deen, what is intended here by deen. Naam. If you look to Surah Infitar, Surah Al-Infitar, in verse 9, we have mentioned also of deen. كَلَّا بَلْ تُكَذِّبُونَ بِالدِّينِ. But nay, but rather you deny ad-deen. Now, this is verse number 9. And then, when you go on inside of the surah, we come to the 18th or the 17th ayah. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الدِّينِ. And what will make you know and understand what is Yawmuddin. And then in the 18th, Allah Azza wa Jal, He reiterates this question, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الدِّينِ. And what will make you understand what is Yawmuddin, the day of deen. And then in the 19th ayah, Allah Azza wa Jal, He explains to us what is intended by Yawmuddin. Allah Ta'ala, He says, يَوْمَ لَا تَمْلِكُ نَفْسٌ لِنَفْسٍ شَيْئًا وَالْأَمْرُ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلَّهِ. This is the day that no soul shall have any power to do anything for another soul. No soul will be able to avail another. And the decision on that day will wholly be with Allah Azza wa Jal. So these ayat here, they explain to us what is intended by Yawmuddin, and that is what? Yawmul Qiyamah. Yawmul Qiyamah. So these ayat here in Surah Al-Infitar, they explain what is the meaning of Yawmuddin. They explain what is the meaning of deen as it comes in the ayah, Maliki Yawmuddin. And also, as it comes here in this ayah, this individual, Alladhi yukadhibu bid-deen, he denies. He obstinately, he denies, he disbelieves in what? Bid-deen. So deen here means Yawm al-Qiyamah. Naam. So Sheikh Abdul Razak bin Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Al-Abbad Al-Badr Hafidhahumullah Ta'ala, he says, ay yukadhibu bil-jaza' wal-ba', meaning that he disbelieves in the jaza', that everyone shall be paid and they shall be recompensed for what they do. So if a person does good, then they will be rewarded, and if a person does evil, then they will be punished. Now, that this individual, he disbelieves in this, disbelieves that there will be a judgment. But not only disbelieves that there will be a judgment, but he disbelieves in everything that is connected to it. So the Shaykh, he explains, he says, wal-ba'th, he disbelieves in the resurrection. Wal-wuquf bayna yadillah Azza wa Jal, and he disbelieves in standing in front of Allah Azza wa Jal. Wa mulaqatihi, and he disbelieves in that the slave, he will meet with Allah Azza wa Jal, Jalla wa Ala. فَهَذَا يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. So this one, he disbelieves in the Day of Judgment. Naam, disbelieves in the Day of Judgment. So disbelieving in the Day of Judgment, what enters into it is a disbelief in everything that is connected to it. So a disbelief in the punishment of the grave, a disbelief in Jannah, a disbelief in Jahannam. Now, anyone who denies these things, we can say they don't believe in the Day of Judgment. This one, يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. He doesn't believe in the Akhirah. Naam, because everything that will happen to the soul after death enters into belief in the Akhirah. Everything that will happen to the soul after death, from it being interrogated by the angels, from the punishment of the grave, from the bliss of the grave, from the resurrection, from the people being gathered, Yawm al-Qiyamah, everything that is mentioned, naam, from that, all of this enters into belief in the Akhirah. All of this enters into belief in the Akhirah. Naam. And it is incumbent upon the Muslims that we correctly believe in the Akhirah. It's incumbent upon us that we correctly believe in the hereafter. And the only way to do that is that we have to learn our religion. We have to learn what are those things that are going to happen to a soul after death that the Prophet ﷺ, he taught us. He informed us about them. What are those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Qur'an, He explained to us what will happen in the hereafter? What are those things? We have to know what those things are in order for us to properly believe in them. And the proper belief in them, it has ramifications and it has good repercussions upon the slave. When a person believes in Yawm al-Qiyamah, he believes in the Day of Judgment, he believes in the hereafter, he believes in Jannah, he believes in heaven, he believes in hell, this will have an effect upon his character, upon his outlook, upon everything. It will have an effect upon that individual. It will have an effect upon him. But also, the opposite is also true. That when an individual does not believe in the hereafter, it will have an ill effect upon them. Or when a person believes incorrectly in the hereafter, it will have a detrimental effect upon them. It will have a bad effect upon them. And it's important also to note, as Al-Allama Imam Uthaymeen rahmatullah alayhi, he explains that believing incorrectly in the hereafter is tantamount to not believing in the hereafter. That to believe incorrectly in the hereafter, it equals not believing in the hereafter. Now, the Shaykh, he goes on to mention that this individual, يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ, that also he denies the Day of Judgment, deen, Day of Judgment, but he also denies the deen, the religion. You understand? He denies deen, meaning Day of Judgment, and he also denies يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ أي بِالْإِسْلَامِ. Right? Because we know deen in certain contexts, it means what? Islam, the deen of Islam. In other contexts, deen, it means what? The Day of Judgment. This individual denies them both. He denies Yawm al-Qiyamah, thus he denies by default Islam. Because you can't be a Muslim and you deny the Day of Judgment. Can't be a Muslim. So yes, he denies the Day of Judgment and he denies the deen of al-Islam. يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ أي بِالشَّرْعِ. Meaning, Shaykh Abdul Razak, he mentions here, he says, means he disbelieves in the what? In the legislation. Now, I want to bring this back to your attention one more time. Right? Because we know the finest translation, the best translation of the Qur'an is the Noble Qur'an. It's the best. It's best. Translation based upon the tafsir. Right? Based upon the tafsir, the authentic tafsir. It's the best translation of the Qur'an. But what we have to understand is that what? Is that things get lost in translation. Sometimes, not saying here in the case of Dr. Muhsin Khan or Sheikh Taqiyuddin al-Hilali, not saying in their case, they were, very, Sheikh Taqiyuddin he was Allama. Dr. Muhsin Khan, he was, subhanallah, very knowledgeable in the Arabic language, very knowledgeable in English, You understand? English is better than mine. Okay, so let's not misunderstand that. But in other cases, sometimes things get lost in translation due to the translator overlooking, or due to the weakness that is contained inside of the translator. Now, other times, things, they don't necessarily get lost in translation. That wouldn't be the most accurate term, but they have to be left out of the translation so that the translation becomes reader friendly. You understand? As opposed to making every ayah like, a paragraph. You understand? Then you try to keep it in the scope of what you're doing, and keeping the audience in mind who are going to be reading from the translation. Okay? So you try to keep it down to a verse, a sentence or two, as much as you possibly can. And as you see, they fill it with things in parentheses so as to give better understanding to what is there. Okay? But even with that, my point is that if you're only relying upon the English, then you got a crutch that's a bad crutch, because you're going to miss out a lot. You're going to miss out a lot. You understand? Because it is translated here that yukadhibu bid-din, whoever denies recompense, meaning deny the day of judgment. Now, but what Sheikh Abdul Razak is pointing out here, also b'shara', you don't get it from the translation. You don't get it from the translation. The only way you're going to have access to that is that if you study the tafsir. Now, if you study the tafsir and the tafsir, they're in Arabic. They're in Arabic. Now, even those tafsir that have been translated, there's only a mukhtasar. The mukhtasar of Ibn Kathir has been translated. The summarized version of Ibn Kathir. And it's called summarized version. And you see how many volumes it is in English? That's a summarized version. Understand? So that means the whole version, you don't get that. You don't get the whole version of Ibn Kathir. So now what about the mother of the tafsir? Tafsir, Tafsir al-Tabari. You know how many volumes that is? Okay? If you're going to hold your breath until that is translated, don't do that. Okay? So it is incumbent, it is important, it is a must. Let this be another encouragement. We have to learn Arabic. We have to learn Arabic so that we can better understand our religion. We have to learn Arabic. There's no way around that, no matter how many things get translated, I'm telling you right now, you're still going to be missing out. Still going to be missing out. Okay? على كل حال. طيب. The Shaykh, he says, يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ أي بِالشَّرْعِ. He disbelieves in the deen, meaning in the religion. الَّذِي شَرَعَهُ. The religion that Allah has legislated. وَدَعَا عِبَادَهُ إِلَيْهِ. And the religion that He calls His slaves to it. He invites His slaves to it. الْقَائِمِ عَلَى تَوْحِيدِهِ. That deen that establishes the tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal, His true monotheism. To worship Him and Him alone. Ikhlasu ad-din lahu, making all of the religion sincere unto Him. You see deen again. Ikhlasu ad-din lahu, making all of the religion sincere unto Him. Azza wa Jal, Jalla fi ula. It is incumbent that all of the deen is sincerely for Allah Azza wa Jal. This one who disbelieves in Islam, this one who disbelieves in Yawm al-Qiyamah, it has an adverse effect upon him. What is that adverse effect upon him? Allah Ta'ala, He says, فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. This is the one who He repulses the orphan. He repulses the orphan, and He does not encourage the feeding of the poor. He does not encourage the feeding of the poor. مِن ثَمَرَاتِ هذا التكذيب, meaning that from the repercussions. Thamarat literally means fruit. I like to say the fruits of a neighbor, but here from the ill fruit, meaning from the repercussions, from the consequences of his denial in the day of judgment. أن يكون الإنسان بهذه الصفة وهذا الحال, is that an individual, he will be upon this description, he will be upon these characteristics, and this will be his situation. Is that he will be an individual who will be the epitome of stingy. The epitome of stingy. Yadu'u al-yatim. He pushes away the orphans. Not just he pushes them away. Shaykh Abdul Razak, he says it means يزجره زجرا شديدا, meaning that he pushes him away strongly. He just doesn't say, no, I don't have anything for you. But he may be verbally abusive. He pushes him away with strength. He pushes him away with roughness. He turns him away with roughness, and he's not gentle in his treatment of the orphans. He pushes them away harshly, and this is why in the translation, it has the one who repulses the orphans, and then it has in parentheses harshly. Because this repulsing of them is harsh. He's harsh when he does it. He's not easy and gentle, but he's harsh. You understand? And this here is another sign showing you the value of the noble Qur'an. This shows you the value of the noble Qur'an, because you get that in parentheses. It's not written in the ayah. Bishidda. It's not written in the ayah. But this is what is understood and what was explained about the pushing away of these orphans. So this helps you to appreciate better the noble Qur'an. But again, still, you gotta learn Arabic. But for the meantime and in between time, alhamdulillah, it's good. But this is the situation of this individual. Yadu'ul yatim, he repulses them with strength. وَيَرُدَعَهُ رَدَعًا, and he prevents them with a strong preventing. Not easy, but he don't want to hear nothing. He don't want them to get nothing. وَيَدْفَعُهُ دَفْعًا, and he pushes them away. He repels them, to the epitome of repelling them. He pushes them away completely, prevents them completely. He don't want to see them benefit at all. He don't care. That's how evil and nasty his heart is. Even one in such a state where he is an orphan, he doesn't care about the orphan. He don't care that the orphan get anything. You understand? فَلَا يَتَعَامَلُ مَعَهُ بِشَفَقَةٍ وَلَا رَحْمَةٍ, he doesn't interact with them with ease, nor does he interact with them with mercy. And what shows that, on top of that, he himself repulses them, he himself pushes them away harshly, he himself deals with them in a rude and nasty manner, but also وَلَا يَحُضُّ غَيْرًا, لَا يَحُضُّ meaning غَيْرًا, he does not encourage, meaning other than him, nor does he encourage others. You understand? عَلَى طُعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ, to feed the needy. He doesn't encourage others to feed the needy. لأنه في نفسه لا يطعم ولا ينفق ولا يبذل, because he himself, he doesn't feed the people, he doesn't feed the needy, nor does he spend upon them, nor does he give to them anything of benefit. فكيف يكون يحض لغيره, so how would he repel others? And you understand, okay, if you yourself don't want to do it, why are you stopping other people from doing it? If you yourself have that much evil in you that you don't want to do it, why are you stopping others from doing it? If you don't want to do good, okay, that's you, but you're going to stop others from doing good. Because see, this individual, يَحُضُّ, he encourages others don't spend. He encourages others not to be good to them. It's not like he just sits back and, doesn't point out who needs, but he discourages people from giving to the needy. You understand? This is the epitome of an evil individual. But this is from the evil ramifications and repercussions of not believing in Islam, not believing in the Day of Judgment. Is that an individual, he will be upon this state. The epitome of evil. Naam. Whereas the Prophet ﷺ, he tells it in an authentic hadith that has been collected by Tirmidhi and others, where the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "As-sa'i ala al-armala," that the one who he strives hard to take care of the widows. Armala. Naam. Do we understand the repercussions of this? Because see, a widow is a woman who she's lost her husband, right? In most cases, that widow has children. And the definition in the Sharia of an orphan is an individual who loses their father when they're a child. right? Individual, a child, young of age, they lose their father. This is an orphan. There's an orphan. So if you are an individual who is diligent in taking care of the widows, then by default what enters into that is that what? You'll be taking care of orphans. You'll be taking care of orphans. Now it's not like you're going to spend upon the widow and tell her, but don't share no food with your children. No, you spend upon them all. You spend upon the whole family. Right? But whoever works hard and diligently to spend upon al-armala wal miskin, and upon the needy, what is his situation? What is his situation? When we hear this hadith, it's going to make you want to go out and find some widows so you can be nice to them and spend upon them as much as you can. You understand? Find some needy people and give them as much, much as you possibly can. It's going to make you. Because look, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, whoever does this, whoever strives hard in trying to benefit and look after and take care of the widows and those who are in need, kal mujahid fi sabilillah. He's like a person who fights in the way of Allah. It's like a person who fights in the way of Allah. Or kalladhi yasumu an-nahar wa yaqumu al-layl. Or he's like a person who fasts the days and he stands up and prays in the night. You know how much reward that is? Fasting the days and standing and praying in the night? Tremendous reward. Person fighting in the way of Allah, tremendous reward. Mujahid, that's a tremendous reward. The one who takes care of the widows, and with that, their children, the orphans, and those who take care of the needy, then they are what? They are like a mujahid, or they are like a person who fasts the day and they stand up in prayer in the night. Now, stand up in prayer in the night. Allahu Akbar. And again, this hadith is sahih, collected by Tirmidhi and by others. This is an encouragement for us, and it shows us what Islam teaches, and that is to be kind and to be gentle to the orphans, to be kind and gentle to the widows, to take care of the needy, to be as beneficial to mankind as we are able to be. This is what the deen of Islam teaches us. This is from the guidance of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He goes on and He says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. So woe unto those who pray. Woe to those who pray. It is translated in the Noble Qur'an, so woe to those performers of salah, prayers. And then another parenthesis, it has hypocrites. Naam. Where did the translators of the Noble Qur'an get hypocrites from? Where do they get that from? Naam. Again, in every place, we don't have to say it, but we want to mention it here so that we can better appreciate the Noble Qur'an. وقال ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنه, Ibn Abbas ترجم القرآن, نعم, explain of the Quran. Ibn Abbas رضي الله تعالى عنهما, قال ابن عباس وغيره يعني المنافقين. He says what is meant by this ayah, al-musallin here, meaning the hypocrites. This enters into the meaning. Now I want you to understand that the verses of the Quran, right, many of them, there are different things which are entering into it, as we're going to come to see in the next ayah, where it encompasses a vast amount of meanings. It encompasses a vast amount of meanings. This is one of those verses that encompasses a vast amount of meanings. But anyway, what is meant here, or what is from the meanings that is meant here, is what is the hypocrites. And then he explains, الَّذِينَ يُصَلُّونَ فِي الْعَلَانِيَةِ وَلَا يُصَلُّونَ فِي السِّرِّ. These are individuals who they only pray in front of others, but they don't pray when they're alone by themselves. You understand? And I'm bringing this, and I want to highlight this because unfortunately, you have some Muslim children who do this. They only pray when their parents see them praying. They only pray when they're around others and others are praying. But if they're by themselves, they'll skip this prayer, skip that prayer. You understand? They only pray when they're around others. So I don't want anyone to read this verse and see in parentheses hypocrites and then say, not me. You understand? No way. Never feel safe or secure from that. As a Salaf, they should say the only ones who feel safe from hypocrisy are the hypocrites. And the only one who fears falling into hypocrisy are the believers. Okay? So I want you to get this understand. But I want you to look at the actions now. The actions. Because an individual, you can act hypocritical in your actions. And what's from that is here what is being mentioned. Now, but the salat is different. The Prophet ﷺ said, الْعَهْدُ الَّذِي بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهُمْ الصَّلَاةِ فَمَنْ تَرَكَهَا فَقَدْ كَفَرَ. That the covenant between us and them is the salat. Whoever has left the salat, then he has disbelieved. So intentionally leaving a prayer, this a person falls into kufr. Shaykh bin Baz rahmatullah alayhi, he said that whoever intentionally does not pray even one prayer, he's a kafir. Whoever intentionally skips off praying one prayer, he's a kafir. So beware. But unfortunately, we know of a case, as I'm pretty sure we all do, of Muslim children who are like this. They skip their prayers when they're not around. When they come to the masjid, they pray. Other than that, they may not pray. When the family's on their back, they pray. But if people get busy, caught up in the day and stuff like this, they don't pray. They go to school, they don't worry about praying Dhuhr, don't worry about praying Asr. But then they come home and they'll pray Maghrib and Isha. Why? Because the father and the mother see them. Or the father takes them with him to the masjid. But outside of that, when they're on their own, doing on their own, they don't pray. And these are usually the kids, you understand, who end up going astray. You find them hiding from their parents, their laziness when it comes to the salah. These be the same kids that go astray, get caught up in the street life, get caught up taking drugs, get caught up with chasing after parties and all this type of stuff, and boyfriend, girlfriend, to the end of it. These are the ones who fall into that. The salah, if we want to be successful, we have to be steady upon our salah, and we have to stay away from this evil manner of leaving all prayers, only praying when we're around people, because this is from the way of who? Of the hypocrites. وَعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. نعم. على كل حال, Allah subhanahu, because some people say, well, at least I pray. Okay, right? Allah Ta'ala, He says, the way, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Way is like a woe, yani is danger. Naam, danger. Khosara, great loss. Also the name of a valley in the hellfire. Naam, some of the ulama they mentioned. Also the name of a valley in the hellfire, as it is said. Naam. Ala kulli hal, no Muslim want any part of it. So who are these prayers who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing? Because yes, it's the hypocrites, but it's not only the hypocrites. You understand? It's not only the hypocrites. Other people can fall into it. And the ulama, they explain the characteristics of what enters into it. Because after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He explains, He says, الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Those who are neglectful of their prayer. Those who are neglectful of their prayer. Naam. The Shaykh Abdul Razak, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he says, وَوَصَفَهُمْ بِأَنَّهُمْ يُصَلُّونَ. He says, they have been described, Allah describes them that they pray. That these are individuals who pray. فَلَيْسُوا تَارِكِينَ لَهَا. They are not those who leave it. Because listen, a person may come and say, well, I pray all my prayers, I don't skip any. Alright, you're still not saved from entering into this description, because they are being described as those who pray, not those who abandon the prayer. They pray. وَلَكِنَّهُمْ سَاهُونَ عَنْهَا. But these individuals, they are neglectful as relates to their prayers. They're neglectful. What enters into being neglectful as relates to the prayer? أي نعم بتضيع أوقاتها. They lose the times, meaning they delay the prayers until after they have gone out. This is one, right? They delay the prayers until after the prayers gone out. So they pray Fajr when the sun is up. They pray Dhuhr in the time of Asr. Dhuhr is gone, now it's Asr. Asr, they'll pray it right before Maghrib. Right before Maghrib. Maghrib, they'll delay it till, Isha, so on and so forth. This enters into it. They delay the prayers. They pray them, but they pray late. وَعَدَمِ الْإِهْتِمَامِ بِشُرُوطِهَا, and they have no concern for its prerequisites. Right? Those things you do before you start praying. The prerequisites, they have no concern for it. They don't care. This, the only way you can have a concern for the prerequisites, you have to know what they are. You have to know what they are. وَأَرْكَانُهَا, and they have وَأَرْكَانِهَا, and they have a neglect for its pillars. Its pillars, those things that are vital for the prayer. وَوَاجِبَاتِهَا, and they have no concern for its obligatory matters. They don't care about the obligatory matters. And the only way to have concern for them and to make sure that you're diligent upon them, we got to learn them. Which means what? We have to learn about our prayer. We have to learn about our prayer. We have to study. It's not sufficient to just, pray because your parents taught you this is the manner of prayer, then that's it, you're good for your life. Then no, you have people like that. But then when it comes to the shurut of the salah and stuff, they don't know about it. They don't know what it is. They didn't even know that they were prerequisites for the prayer. Now, when it comes to what are those motions in the salah that you have to do, they're from the arkan of the prayer. You have to do them. They don't know what they are. Those obligatory matters of the prayer, they don't know what they are. SubhanAllah. We have to learn about our religion. We have to learn about our prayer. In any event, this enters into it, not having a concern for it. Enters into being neglectful as relates to your prayers. Also, what enters into it, it's not just that, but also what enters into it. Al-Hafidh ibn Kathir, he mentions inside of his tafsir, أما عن وقت أو أما عن وقتها الأول فيؤخرونها إلى آخره. He says, also it can mean that they are either neglectful on praying their prayers in the first time. Because see, a person may come and say, I escaped. I don't delay my prayer until the next prayer comes in. So I'm good, right? Not necessarily. Also what it means is not praying the prayer in its first time. Meaning that this individual delays the prayer to the end of the time. دائما أو غالبا, either all the time or most of the time. He delays the prayer or she delays the prayer to the end, all the time or most of the time. Now, this is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. So they pray, and they pray on time. They pray on time, but they'll delay the prayer to the end of its time, and they do this all the time, or they do this most of the time. Most of the time. This is not good. This is not good at all. Or also what enters into that they are neglectful as relates to their prayers is what? وَإِمَّا عَنْ أدائها بأركانها وشروطها على وجه المأمور به, or they neglect performing them, fulfilling their pillars and their prerequisites upon the manner in which they have been commanded to do. And this we have already spoken about. Or وَإِمَّا عَنْ الْخُشُوعِ, because a person may come and they say, I escaped. I pray my prayers on time, and usually I pray them in the beginning time. I don't always delay them to the end. No, most of the time do I pray them at the end of their time, but I pray them, fairly early. I escaped, right? Not necessarily. Also, what enters into that is they don't have khushu' in the prayer. No khushu'. Khushu' is important. We have to strive to have khushu' in our prayer. We can't, for lack of a better term, right? We can't be neglectful as relates to khushu' in the salah. He says, وَإِمَّا عَنِ الْخُشُوعِ فِيهَا, or because they don't have no khushu' inside the prayer. And this is something too which is a severe reminder and encouragement for us to what? To learn Arabic. To learn Arabic and to study tafsir. To learn Arabic and to study tafsir. Because also what enters into that is وَتَدَبُّرْ لِمَعَانِهَا, or they are neglectful as relates to contemplating over the meanings. Over the meanings. Naam, this is horrible. How many people, and I'm talking now to the younger Muslims, to the younger Muslims, and perhaps to some older Muslims, maybe, but how many people who don't speak Arabic have been praying for younger Muslims all your life, and you don't even know the translation of what you're saying? You don't even know what it means. But your whole life you've been praying. Been reciting this, reciting that, your whole life. And you don't know what it means. If that's the case, this means what? You have never reflected over the meanings of what's being said in your prayer. You never did it. That's bad. That's horrible. That's ugly and disgusting. It's dangerous. It enters into being neglectful as relates to your prayers. It enters into being neglectful as relates to your prayers. So I encourage the parents to quiz themselves. Do you know the meaning of Surah Al-Fatiha in whatever language you speak? And then to quiz your children. Ask them, do you know the meaning of Surah Al-Fatiha? You have to recite it in every rak'ah. Do you know what it means? Those chapters that you know. Start with the smaller chapters in the end. Do you know the meaning of Surah An-Nas? What about Surah Al-Falaq? What about Surah Al-Ikhlas? Do you know the meaning of it? Do you know what it means? Long story short, we have a lot of work to do and very little time to do it, so we don't have time to play. But Al-Hafiz ibn Kathir, he says, فَاللَّفْظ يَشْمَلُ هَذَا كُلُّهُ. He said so that the wording encompasses all of this. All what was mentioned enters into the meaning of this verse. Everything that was mentioned about those who are neglectful on their prayers enters into the meaning of this verse. And this is why I translated as that, and I did not translate what is in the Noble Qur'an, which is those who delay their prayers from their stated fixed times. I didn't translate that like that. Why? Because this is from the meaning, but there are other things that enter into the meaning. And it's easier to explain that by saying those who are neglectful of their prayers, and then what enters into neglect are that which was mentioned. So again, fastly for notes, what enters into neglect is that you pray the prayer after it has gone out. Right? You're not, as it comes here, that you delay it beyond its time, or you pray it most of the time or all of the time in the end of its time. Now, or it means that you don't have any concern for its prerequisites, nor for its pillars, nor for the obligatory matters of it. That enters into being neglectful. Or what also enters into being neglectful is that you don't have khushu' in your prayer. You don't have khushu' in your prayer. And also what enters into the meaning of being neglectful in the prayer is that you don't contemplate over the meanings of what is being said inside of the prayer. You don't reflect and contemplate of the meanings of what is being said inside of the prayer while and when you are praying. Naam. And Hafiz ibn Kathir, he mentions, he says, all of this enters into it. ولكن من اتصف بشيء من ذلك يعني قصد من هذه الآية, whoever is described with something from this, then he will fit into the meanings, to the extent of that which is described unto him. You understand? So if a person has some of these descriptions, then he will fall into the meaning of what is meant and intended by this particular verse. وَمَنِ اتصف بِجَمِيعِ ذَلِكَ, and whoever he has all of these characteristics, فَقَدْ تَمَّ نَصْبِهِ الْمُنَافِقُ وَكَمُلَ لَهُ النِّفَاقُ الْعَمَلِ. And whoever has all of these characteristics, all of this could be said about them, then this individual, he has completed his share of hypocrisy. He has the complete share of a hypocrite, and he has complete hypocrisy of actions. He has complete hypocrisy of actions. And Al-Hafidh ibn Kathir, he says, al-amali. It's very important we understand that, because al-nifaq is nifaq al-i'tiqadi and wal-nifaq al-amali. Two types. You have the nifaq of belief. That is the nifaq that makes a person a kafir. Is a kafir. That's a person who don't believe in Islam. They just act like they're Muslim, but they really don't believe in Islam. That's nifaq al-i'tiqadi, the nifaq of belief. The hypocrisy in belief, meaning they don't believe in Islam, they only act like they believe. These individuals are kuffar. But then you have al-nifaq al-amali. You have the nifaq of actions. Like a person, when he speaks, he lies. When he's entrusted, he betrays the trust. When he argues, he becomes verbally abusive, so on and so forth. These are all from the actions of hypocrisy. Okay? So a believer, he can fall into hypocrisy from the hypocrisy of the actions and be a believer. So don't think, oh, I'm a believer, so I can't fall into hypocrisy, right? No, wrong. You can still fall into hypocrisy and be a believer by falling into the actions of hypocrisy. So whoever he has all of these actions, everything that was mentioned is applicable to them, then they are a complete hypocrite as relates to the actions. They are a complete hypocrite where? In action. This doesn't mean they're kafir. It means they're a complete hypocrite in action. And this is why Al-Hafidh ibn Kathir, rahmatullahi alayh, he specifies al-amali, nifaq al-amali, the hypocrisy of actions. So that is not misunderstood that he's making takfir upon these individuals, but no doubt they have fallen into a very dangerous situation. Okay? That makes sense? Right. Shaykh Abdul Razak, he goes on and he mentions, he says, وَالْفَرْقُ بَيْنَ السَّهْوِ عَنِ الصَّلَاةِ وَالسَّهْوِ فِي الصَّلَاةِ. He said, and there is a difference of being neglectful about your prayers from being neglectful in your prayers. Another reason why I translate it as neglectful, so we can better understand. Because Allah Ta'ala, He said that they are neglectful as relates to their prayers. And Allah Ta'ala, He did not say that they are neglectful in their prayer. Because there comes from each and every one of us from time and time again that we are neglectful inside of our prayers. While we pray, we're neglectful. The Shaykh, he mentions, he says, فَالسَّهُ فِي الصَّلَاةِ يَقَعَ مِنَ الْإِنسَانِ. He said that being neglectful in the prayer, it happens for a human being. It happens. وَيُجْبَرُ بِالسُّجُودِ السَّهُ. And it necessitates that we make the prostration of forgetfulness. When we forget. Sometimes we pray, we forget how many raka'at we have prayed. Sometimes we pray, we may forget the first tashahhud. And so on and so forth. This is being neglectful in the prayer. It happens because we're human beings. Sometimes our mind goes away, we forget. This is not what is intended by the ayah. This does not enter into the meaning of the ayah. What enters into the meaning of the ayah is those who are neglectful as relates to their prayer. Whereas a person who's neglectful inside of his prayer, then he makes the sajdah to sahw. Okay? He makes the sajdah to sahw. But ولكن, the Shaykh, he says, ولكن المصيبة في السهو عن الصلاة. He said, but the calamity is when an individual is neglectful as relates and as regards to his prayer. بَالْغَفْلَ عَنْهَا. He is unmindful as relates to his prayer. وَتُضِيعِ الْأَوْقَاتِهَا. He leaves off its time. أَوْ شُرُوطِهَا. Or he prays outside of his time, or he's neglectful as relates to its prerequisites. أَوْ أَرْكَانِهَا. Or as relates to its pillars. مِمَّا لَيْسَتْ الصَّلَاةِ من men, from those individuals, لَيْسَتِ الصَّلَاةِ مُعَذَّمَةً عِنْدَهُمْ, those who the prayer is not tremendous as relates to them, it doesn't have a high status as relates to them. وَلَيْسَ لَهَا شَأْنٌ عَنْهُ أو عِنْدَهُ, and nor does it have nor is it important to them, does not have a high status with them. Allah Ta'ala, He says, الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ, those who only do things to be seen by men, أي أعمالهم, صلاتهم الناس, their prayer with the people, na'am, and their actions in general. They only act good when they can be seen. This is horrible. This is from the description of these individuals who فَوَيْلٌ لَهُمْ, na'am, woe unto them. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, يَقُومُ الرَّجُلُ يُصَلِّي فَيُزَيِّنُ صَلَاتَهُ لِمَا يَرَى مِنْ نَظَرِ رَجُلٍ. He says, a man will stand up and he will pray and he will beautify his prayer so it can be seen by another man. وَعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. It's important to know and to understand, and this is and please excuse the time has gone on longer than we had intended, but these are very important points that I want to mention now that they are relevant, the mentioning of them. And that is, there are two types of showing off, and it's very important to know. There are two types of showing off. You have the small showing off and you have the major showing off. Na'am. Imam Ibn Rajab, he mentions this in his explanation of the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi. You have the showing off where a person, he shows off, and that showing off is in addition, or it's za'ida, it's an addition to his deed, meaning that he started the prayer. Let's use the prayer as an example. He started praying for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He started praying for Allah. But then, to show off, he beautifies his recitation. To show off. Not he's beautifying it for Allah azza wa jal, but he's doing it to show off. Or he lengthens his ruku', or he lengthens his sujood. He made sajda for Allah azza wa jal, but then he lengthens it so people can see, oh, he prayed real good, right? Or he lengthens his ruku', so people can be impressed. Oh, he mashallah, he makes ruku' really long. You understand? The ulama, they explain that this type of action could happen from a believer, that he may bring something extra to show off, but not that the origin of his deed was done to show off. He didn't do it from the initially to show off, but while in the process of doing his action, he starts showing off. Okay, this can happen from a believer. The addition that he has brought, that portion of the prayer where he's showing off, that lengthening of his ruku', he gets no reward for it. The lengthening of the ruku', he gets no reward for it. The beautification of the salat that he does to be seen by men, he gets no reward for it. This is the first type of showing off, the small type of showing off. Then you have the type of showing off that enters into is major, meaning that a person, he shows off from the beginning, meaning he prays only to be seen by men. He prays, and from the beginning of his prayer is to show off. He does not intend by it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but rather he prays from the beginning to show off. This type of showing off is not possible. It'll happen from a believer, because this type of showing off is major kufr that make a person a kafir. Because now you're doing the deed for what? For other than Allah azza wa jalla. That makes sense? So this type of showing off is a showing off what? Of the hypocrites, because they kuffar. They do it from the initially so people can see them, whereas they no part of it in their attention is for Allah azza wa jalla. This type of showing off is the showing off of the kuffar. Okay? Ala kulli hal, these individuals, they pray so as to show off. But again, riya, shirk, we have to stay away from all forms and types of shirk. None of it is acceptable. It's neither the small or the big. Okay? Neither the small or the big. None of it is acceptable. So we have to stay away from it all. Allah Ta'ala, He ends this tremendous surah. He says, وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. And this individual, he denies the al-ma'un. Al-ma'un, the Shaykh Abdul Razak, he mentions, he says, وَمِن شِدَّةِ بُخْلِ بخلهم, and from their from the strength of their miserliness, يمنعون الباعون, is that they prevent الماعون, وهو ما يعان لوقت محد أو محدد, نعم محددا, لينتفع به ويعاد إلى صاحبه. And you see the extent of his stinginess, because al-ma'un, this is the definition of al-ma'un, is that it is anything that is borrowed and benefited from for a short period of time, and then it is returned. It is something that a person he borrows, which then he gives it back. Okay, so what enters into that is the following. What enters into it is what we're going to mention, but is not restricted to it. Now, it enters into it, but is not restricted to what is going to be mentioned. So, including but not restricted to. Okay, al-qidr, a pot, for example, or a pan. That you lend this to someone. This person tell people, don't lend nobody nothing. Don't lend them no pot, lend them no pan. A baking pan, cookie sheet, whatever. Don't lend it to them. Al-minkhal, which is like a bottle or something you can put liquid in, right? And say don't lend nobody, no, don't lend him no cup, no. Wal-fats is like a hatchet or a cutting utensil, something you cut with a knife. Your neighbor needs a knife or something, or a hatchet. Person say, nah, don't get him nothing, don't get nobody nothing. This person is evil. It's something that you're not even giving it away, you're just letting them borrow it. They're going to bring it back. This person doesn't even want people to borrow stuff. This is to the extent of their what do you call it? Of their stinginess. Wal ibra, or a sewing needle. Someone needs a sewing needle. Something like that. He doesn't even want to let anyone see a sewing needle. Not even to borrow a sewing needle. وغير ذلك من الأشياء التي يستعيرها الجيران بعضهم من بعض. The Shaykh, he says, and other than that, from those things that neighbors generally borrow from one another. Those things that neighbors would generally borrow from one another. Person may come and say, hey, can I borrow your trimmer? Or hey, can I borrow your shears? For gardening or something like this. Person may have a little gardening hole, and he said, can I borrow your gardening hole? I want to use it for my garden. I want to do some things and plant whatever. And the person, no, can I borrow your hose, for example? In colder climates, your neighbor may ask to borrow your shovel. Maybe the handle of the shovel broke while he was shoveling the snow. Yeah, can I borrow your shovel so I can shovel off my steps, so on and so forth? Or can I borrow the scraper for the car? Maybe it gets cold, it breaks, the thing breaks. Neighbor comes, I was getting ready for work, it broke. Can I borrow yours so I can scratch the ice off the car? This person, he's so stingy, so miserly. No, even these small things, no. And this is why al-ma'un was translated as small kindness, because all these things enter into what is meant by these small kindnesses the neighbors they give and they do for each other. And then the Shaykh Abdul Razak, he concludes the tafsir for this particular surah, and then gets into Surah Al-Kawthar, that small yet very, very, very tremendous surah, Surah Al-Kawthar, the smallest surah inside the Qur'an, but bila shakku bila rayb, is a surah of tremendous meaning and tremendous value, as all of the surah are tremendous in their meaning and tremendous in their value. ولكن نتوقف هنا, but we will stop here, and we will take that in the coming class بإذن الله تعالى. فنكتفي بهذا القدر، وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، وجزاكم الله خيرا.